It's the internet, you're busy, let's do this. I'm Jeff Grubb. I write for GamesBeat.com. I hang out over here unsolicited on GiantBomb.com, where I talk about video games with you all. The idea is we talk about news. I try to bring some fun stuff to talk about each week, things that are happening in the games industry, and then I answer your questions, and we'll talk about anything that's happening in games. We will answer as much as we can. Don't always have the answer, but we can at least have a conversation about it, and that's the fun part of this show. So if you want to ask a question, what you got to do is you got to go over to giantbomb.com/chat, and you got to upgrade, got to be a premium member, but there's an ask a question button there at the top of the page. If you're over on Twitch, hello, I'm glad you're watching. I really appreciate it, but I'm not going to see your stuff unless you come over here to giantbomb.com/chat. If you want to make that happen, please do. I would really appreciate it. In the meantime, though, I do have some stuff to talk about. There was a little bit of a leak yesterday. It was, I guess I could talk a little bit about this. Skate 4, there was some pre-alpha footage of Skate 4 in action. And this is in line with what we've been talking about on this show, right? Where that game is a ways off. The game is still pretty far off. But people have been asking for a sign of life from EA. And that has been the questions I've been getting about it. It's like, when will we hear about that game? Not necessarily, oh, is that game coming out this summer or anything like that. People are like, hey, when will we hear about it again? And they still haven't officially done anything yet, but they have clearly been running these tests. They ran some play tests late last year, and then they ran some play tests this week. Like, that stuff is happening right now. And the result is that we got a little bit of a leak. So we got to see some video footage of the game in action. It was like textureless. There's no textures on the character model, no textures on the world. It's clearly just trying to dial in the gameplay. It's part of a prototyping phase. And to me, that's all like a really good thing, like I said on Twitter. But yeah, this video popped up and I was like given a heads up, like, yeah, this is real. And I was able to like confirm that multiple times. So posted that and it blew up, and now everyone's getting a pretty good idea of what Skate 4, like the state Skate 4 is in. And I'll say it does seem like people are pretty happy with it. When I was like sharing it, I'm like, I know why EA doesn't want to like put this stuff out, but I wonder how people will react. And overall, most people have been very happy with it. Most people seem like, oh, it's so nice to see that it's coming along, that they're really focused on the look and the feel and the animation and the fluidity and the physics and stuff like that. And that is the sign you get from that video that we did get to see. I'll say that this does seem like it is part of EA's efforts to give developers a lot of time to prototype. That is something that has worked for Respawn. EA has made it, like said repeatedly now, they want to bring that way of thinking about games to all of its studios. And you would probably want to do that with Skate 4 as well. And one thing you hear from people who are looking at that video is, I kind of just wanted to Skate 3 again with new maps. And I get that, but if you're having a developer come and make a Skate 4, I think you kind of want to give them an opportunity to be creative. And part of that is going to be, let's mess around. Let's see if we can build an even more robust physics system, a more robust trick system. Let's see what we can do. And then we'll go with the best stuff. We'll go with what works. We're not going to force anything, but we do want to give an opportunity for something new to be done. And I think that's the right way of going about this sort of thing. As for the game itself, like what to expect, like, I mean, I've heard from the people who have played it. It is very fun. People seem to be very impressed with the way it feels. That's the big takeaway is, it feels great. It is a lot of fun. The two big things I wanted to bring up about Skate 4, about like what you should expect from it as like either a skate fan or just a fan of modern games. They are going to be taking some modern stuff in like specifically the kind of stuff you might see in like a Forza game or a lot of modern like online multiplayer games, where you're going to have a lot of customization options for your character, a lot of skins for your board, things like that. And it's going to go all out, and there'll be like UGC, like there's going to be a lot of user generated content where you could just wrap up your board with, the crazy stuff that the community is making and stuff like that. They're going to really emphasize that stuff. And where that stuff should shine is the other side of this, which is sort of this collaborative online free skate mode that does sound very good, that I've heard really good things about as well. This is a mode where you are hanging out with your friends or anyone else who's going to like hop onto the server, and then anyone on this server can say, hey, like, does anyone want to try like lay down some tricks over here with me on this thing? And then someone can lay down the skate park stuff required to do that, in real time with everyone else right there, and just say, okay, here's the ramp we need to make this happen. There it is. Now everyone start doing this, and people can work together to make these parks like all at the same time. You can, add stuff, delete stuff on the fly. And the people that have played this mode said this was kind of the standout, where it was just really fun to do that with friends and with other people. And so, yeah, it seems like, and in that mode, you would want to be able to like show off your character and have funny skins and stuff like that. So it makes sense. It is EA sort of figuring out how to make Skate modern without taking away what Skate is, and maybe even emphasizing some aspects of Skate that were great that now could be even better. So good news all around. It seems like I'm pretty excited especially for people who are a fan of this series. Other stuff that's happening this week. There was a recruiter job posting on some job forum for someone over at Naughty Dog, and they were talking about bringing back the legacy of Uncharted and stuff like that. They were going to be looking to hire people for Uncharted, basically. I'll say that is in line with kind of like, I don't think that's too surprising, right? They're going to go back to Uncharted. It's Uncharted. It's one of their biggest franchises, one of their biggest IPs. But it's in line with like, okay, that will probably happen at Naughty Dog, but Sony overarching has had like a desire to find out a future for Uncharted with or without Naughty Dog. That was one time, before they were working on the Last of Us remake, which then Naughty Dog did take over. Sony Visual Arts Group, SVAG, is that right? That doesn't sound right. They were working on that Last of Us remake, but before that, they were also deeply considering working on some Uncharted stuff, and there was definitely work done towards that, and like plans were had, but it was sort of this nebulous concept of maybe you could start a new development team over here to begin slowly taking over the Uncharted franchise, maybe. And the emphasis was super on maybe. No one really knew if that was what was going to happen. They didn't get a lot of direction from the top at Sony. That stuff it disintegrated. It fell apart. All of that work has now moved back over to Naughty Dog. But the point here is Sony has made like sort of glimpses and gestures towards finding a future for Uncharted one way or the other. Naughty Dog being Naughty Dog, probably going to want to oversee that. So very little surprise that they are trying to bring in more people to figure that out themselves. So it makes sense. And then finally, before we get to your questions, I got a secret message last night via text message from a little birdie who was in Pittsburgh for the AEW show. He told me that they were recording the audio chants for the crowd chants for the game last night at the Pittsburgh show. I don't know. I think some guy named Mike Minotti. Oh no, I just doxed him. Mike was at the show last night. He tweeted about it. But yeah, they told the audience they were going to do that. I have not. Yeah, Tokota. Yeah, I've not talked to him about this yet. Like, Mike's in chat. Mike, what did you record? Did they like? I mean, the game is called Fight Forever, so I'm assuming almost certainly that you are all chanting Fight Forever, and that's going to be used under like the title on the title menu and everything. That's pretty cool. We did not. Okay, so it's an utter failure already. Just complete mismanagement. The game's going to be garbage. What else can I say? Hopefully none of those wrestlers watch this show, because they could probably really beat me up. Yeah, that's exciting. I don't know. That game, the rumors I've been able to confirm, I have no idea. It seems like it's kind of scheduled for later this year. Maybe they've said as much, but I mean, it would be exciting to see that game in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, and then get it before the end of the year. That would be fantastic. Okay. With that, we move over to your questions. Let me scroll on down here and get started. Okay, so Feature Creep starts here with, how do you pronounce yees? I pronounce them YS, the game YS. So how do you pronounce? I pronounce it yees nuts. There you go. We did not plan that, I promise. Yeez. It's Yeez, right? That's Yeez nuts. It's always been Yeez. I know there is no other pronunciation. Was there some sort of disagreement about this somewhere that I missed? That's wrong, Grubb. It's Yeez. This is from I've not listened to the Bombcast this week, so if it's from the Bombcast, I'll get to it probably this evening. Okay, no, that sounds even better. No, Yeez nuts. Oh, we have a classy show going here, everybody. All right, from Hey It's Dale, do you think we'll see anything regarding the Metroid Prime franchise soon? Either that remake or an actual trailer for 4 has to be coming soon, right? I'm still not hopeful of a trailer for 4 anytime in the very near future. Maybe by the end of this year, maybe at the Game Awards, maybe. But Metroid Prime remaster / remake is something that they've worked really hard on. It's come a long ways. If they're still working on it, it is probably just sprucing it up. That game should be pretty close to being ready. I would imagine that we are going to see that and get it pretty soon. Nintendo does have a pretty packed year especially through the rest of the first half and into late summer and early fall. But we've already seen them like move one of those kind of like bubble games, the game that was either, kind of on the bubble of fall / summer, Xenoblade Chronicles moved up, creates a little bit more space in the fall. I think, when is Metroid Prime 1's anniversary? It's November, right? I think it's very likely we get Metroid Prime remake / remaster, however it ends up like being classified, right on the 20th anniversary. Nintendo really likes anniversaries. That's a big anniversary for a big game. So I think we hear about it pretty soon and get it in November. From Doug Foote, good morning, Mr. Snacks. Yesterday, John Drake highlighted 6 AAA Star Wars games currently in development. Do you think we will see smaller studios like Paradox or Harebrained get projects as well, or will Star Wars remain exclusively AAA or mobile focused? I'll just say I'm hopeful that we see some more smaller studios get a chance. I think the golden era of Star Wars video games was when everyone got a chance to make a Star Wars game, and we were getting all kinds of crap across every console and PC, and a lot of it was really bad, and many of it was bad in a very memorable and fun way, and then some of it was really good. And I think kind of having that firing rate is just fine, but especially if you are giving like experimental teams and smaller teams a chance to really explore the universe, we could really benefit from that. It's what I've always wanted. So to me, it does feel like they are moving in that direction. I know they're all AAA games so far, but maybe you probably start at these bigger deals, and once you get these bigger deals in place, maybe that does create some free time for the Disney team over there and the Lucasfilm team to put the smaller deals into place. But they're also, I've said this before, we've been saying it for like since the show began. One of the first things I think we talked about on this show was Lucasfilm is making a lot of deals. They're making a lot of deals, and now we've seen that begin to come to fruition. Like we're starting to see that, okay, that was indeed what was happening. They are probably gonna, now that they have many of the games that they wanted, or at least the types of games in the work that they wanted, Amy Hennig is gonna make the game that they really, really wanted from EA. Ubisoft is already making the other game they really, really wanted from EA. And then, who knows about the Quantic Dream game that also should fit into a genre that Lucasfilm was really asking EA to make. But they've begun checking off these things off their list. Okay, these things are in the works. Some of them are a long way off. I know there was a recent report that the Quantic Dream game's coming along better than people have said. It's still not what I've heard, but I don't have exactly the best insight into that, but it does seem like the people I've talked to saying no, that's right. Everyone's saying that's still a long ways off, but whatever. Some of those games are a long ways off. The point is it takes effort to get these deals into place. And once once they're done with their okay, our AAA list of games we want, we have checked those off in terms of getting those deals in place. Now all we can do is stand back and let them make those games. In the meantime, what can we do to broaden this and maybe start getting games out at a little bit of a faster pace? I mean, at that point, you definitely turn to smaller studios. Harebrained, I think, is an ideal partner. Paradox, also a grand strategy game in Star Wars, do one of those again. It's like that genre has come so far since the last time we got a Star Wars strategy game. They could do a ton with that. So I mean, you could set it at any point in the timeline. There's a lot of stuff that like teams like that could do. It's very exciting just to think about. So yeah, and also, I mean, I think we will get also a lot of more like ports and stuff. Aspire said if there's demand, they will do the Rogue Squadron games. I believe that there's demand. I would play the hell out of those. So yeah. From Funkadoodle, what is your current desktop background a photo of? I don't want to. I can't say. It's too embarrassing. I use Bing, and Bing, I think, said, hey, do you want me to install this wallpaper thing that'll just do a different image from Bing Images every day? Okay, listen, I'm going to die one day, and I just want to I want to recognize that I'm already a boomer. So that's, it's right now, it is a bunch of sheep or goats. Can I admit, goats, they have horns, right? Goats, and then they're like on an island, and I think that's like a glacier behind them. I don't know. There you go. All right. Let me bring back the questions here. From Mr. McCrinkledink. Hey, Jeff, you know anything about that Marvel XCOM game that Firaxis announced a while ago, or about an XCOM 3? I don't know about an XCOM 3 other than they're probably working on that, right? I think that there's been rumblings, not from me about that, but I think I've heard other people talk about that. Maybe I'm making that up. But the Midnight Sun game is one that there was a lot of hype for. They showed it. It was a card game, a card-based strategy game, and then the hype seemed to like just leave the room. I think the audience that was showing up for a Marvel XCOM game was very uncertain about that, and now that means that this game has to make an incredible first impression when people do get a chance to actually play it. And to me, the signs were, and things I've heard is, they want to make sure they get that first impression right as much as they possibly can. They don't want to have any sort of slow onboarding. They just want, as soon as you pick it up, they want you to feel addicted to the gameplay. So they're working on that. And, they're not going to completely scrap what they have, but they're trying to make sure that what they have is as great as it possibly can be. From LX Predator, dear Mr. Snacks, can you give us a percentage chance you think the Xbox Activision deal will go through? I'm thinking about 75% as of today. I mean, I'll put it at 85%. I think it's very likely to go through. If it does, like, even if there are issues with the FTC, even if Elizabeth Warren gets her wish about like a significant more scrutiny into the deal, the result of many of those things, like the first result is not blow up the deal. It is, here are some caveats that we can add on top that you need to meet, that you need to recognize and deal with Microsoft in order to actually close this. And we will be overseeing those things. And what that looks like exactly, I mean, who knows? Maybe they will have to sell off a portion of Activision. They'll have to sell off like a studio or two that clashes with maybe a genre they own. I don't know how much the FTC is going to delineate between like games and genres of games, right? Because if you just look at it at games, like Microsoft still doesn't own a significant portion of the overall business. But if you look at just like, I guess, first-person games, if that's how, I don't know if the FTC would do this. I don't think they would. But if they just look at like, oh, you have a lot of first-person games, maybe you should have to sell one of the studios that makes those things. That would be weird. But regulation is odd because you're bringing people who aren't necessarily experts on the subject in to look at this and try to determine if it's causing antitrust issues. And so sometimes you end up with weird scenarios like that. From Zcrits, is the sequel to City Skylines on the horizon yet, or just an infinite amount of DLC? Yeah, I mean, the DLC has been really working for them. It's that is Paradox, right? So that's Paradox's MO. I don't know. I feel like a City Skyline sequel probably does make sense eventually, but there will still be a lot of DLC between now and then. And if you always cut it in half, the timeline between now and then, you could always release more DLC. So infinite DLC, all right. From Oracle. Have you heard anything more about the Game Boy Advance on NSO? I have no idea if you hear about Nintendo stuff like that, but figured I'd ask. I don't just like hear about it. I have to go out and like ask people about it. And I have not done that yet. I've kind of like was waiting. Sometimes like a lot of people who are tied into that inner circle, like that stuff still sometimes gets out without me having to go shake the tree. So sometimes I just like wait to see if it's going to happen. But, you know, I could probably try to find out. I don't know. To me, Game Boy Advance seems pretty aggressive for Nintendo, but also Nintendo has said repeatedly they want to add more value to Nintendo Switch Online, and Game Boy Advance is one of the biggest bang for their buck moves that they can make to make Nintendo Switch Online valuable. Like you have a lot of people who have a lot of fondness for those games, and I think that would probably be a big move. Had they not been saying that stuff, I would be pretty skeptical of this, but it makes sense right now as is. From Beggary, hyper-specific question, anything ever going to happen with Skies of Arcadia? I don't know. I hope so. Let's see. Sega's been talking about their big games recently, their super games, and they're bringing back Crazy Taxi and all this other stuff, and they haven't said Skies of Arcadia. Skies of Arcadia has to be on that list, right? It's got to be on that list of like things to get back to. Like it's not a mainstream brand that is instantly recognizable to many people in the way something like, I guess, Crazy Taxi is, but excuse me, I think it probably still has that panache with a certain audience that is very tied into games, that would make a lot of sense to bring it back eventually. I'm hopeful. From Feature Creep, Wu-Tang in Fortnite. That's exciting. Are we still getting a full Wu-Tang game? Yes. Last I heard, that was still happening. I can ask around about that again, but that Wu-Tang sort of action RPG, I think it was what it was still in the works, and it still makes a lot of sense to me. Like you just make each of the Wu-Tang members a different class. And it just fits so well. I would totally think that's going to be if we're going to hear about that, we'll probably hear about that around the E3 time if it's ready to go. From Dio Game, what ABK games do you think will go exclusive? Since Brad Smith said popular IP, do you think new IPs will go exclusive? Crash and Spyro, King's Quest, etc. Also, do you think Microsoft will revive Radical and Vicarious Visions? I don't think there's much hope for Vicarious Visions. Or Radical, probably. It maybe they bring back the brand names down the line at some point, but like extracting people out of like something like Blizzard to bring them back would be pretty difficult. And Microsoft wants to sort of let Blizzard operate as is and figure it out. Like they're obviously going to step in to make sure that it's not a toxic place to work. That's going to be one thing that they absolutely will have to do, and especially with regulators looking over their shoulders, they'll definitely have to agree that that's what they're going to do. But it would, they're not going to be like, hey, and you have to bring back Vicarious Visions, or we're going to start up Vicarious Visions ourselves, and you need to either give us talent from these people from your talent pool or whatever to make that happen. It's complicated. It would be tough. They're probably not going to do that. As for what goes exclusive, they're probably still determining exactly what it looks like. But I think that probably quite a few of the games do end up going exclusive. I think like stuff like Crash and Spyro, I think they probably do go exclusive. That's a tough one. 'Cause I feel like you would probably have a lot of success putting those out on Switch or something like that. But at the same time, like, that adds a lot of different kind of value to Game Pass, where it's like, okay, these are games that appeal to families. We haven't had a lot of those. Maybe we want to have that exclusive to Microsoft and Xbox. So we'll see. Hang on. From Casual, dear Chef Grubb, Eric Wolpaw's recent interview where he said he had a desire to work on Postal 3 on Portal 3 got me thinking. Ali Moss is one of my favorite artists, and I like Firewatch. Could you share your thoughts about the actual making of games within Steam? Yeah, I mean, it is definitely very much like you've heard, where people get to decide what they're working on, and people move around. But that also causes situations where if someone does move around, the project maybe they were working on before gets derailed or something like that. I'm not sure what does it take to get a game like started and then near completion and then actually completed and out the door at Steam. It almost seems a little bit political. Like you have to have that political will to maneuver people inside of Steam. Like you have to be that sort of leader. And I don't know if that's a lot what a lot of people. That takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of extra effort when you could just go work on a smaller experimental project and not have to deal with that stuff. And also some of the projects you could be working on are things that might get you bigger bonuses because they might create a new revenue stream inside of Steam or something like that. And so it's like, do you want to go with this hit-based approach? Now, of course, I think a Portal 3 probably would be successful, but then you have to deal with sort of the legacy of that series and legacy of Half-Life, and there's probably a lot of people inside who are very critical of making sure that this game is pushing things forward, and that's a challenge. So it's there's no one clear method of getting a game shipped at Steam, but I think the best way to put it would be like it is almost a political process. From the Pizza Baron, Mr. Snacks, thank you for the great show. Any word on a new Xbox Elite Controller Series 3? I haven't heard anything, but doesn't mean it's not happening. It seems like they would want to refresh that at least one more time. Maybe rework the construction one more time to make sure that it is less prone to failure, and then also add stuff like the share button, the clip button that they have on there. Feature creep. Happy belated 420. Did you have a Colorado night? I did not. Much too busy actually that day. We signed a bunch of paperwork for a house literally on 420, so I did. But I believe that Jeff Backlar celebrated. Let's take a look and see how he's doing. Oh, he's ripped this time, everybody. So we checked in on Jeff Backlar here, who has been celebrating 420 nonstop since what Tuesday or Wednesday? I'm sorry. Yeah, he's been going ever since then. So he's still ripped. Congratulations to him. Thank you, Future Creep, for setting up that joke as well. From the Kiefer, any word on Inscription or on something other than PC? I would like to play it, please. Yeah, I mean, that thing's headed to Switch at the very least soon. I think that it might also end up like on tablets and stuff, but that seems like something you do much later. You want to sell it on consoles first at a higher price before you put it at like $7 on Apple Store or whatever. So yeah. For Blackheart Vinyl, Fortnite beat Xbox to the Wu-Tang Clan inclusion. Yeah, I mean, Fortnite could just gobble up any sort of brand or IP or band or anything that has like a personality, and they could just put it in the machine and come out the other side with basically digital toys ready to go. So it's their process to get that stuff done is very efficient. So it's not too surprising. From Major Mitch, given the huge success of Elden Ring, is it fair to assume we get an Elden Ring 2 at some point? What do you think FromSoft's game plan is here? I mean, I think their game plan is to start working on Elden Ring 2 pretty much immediately. Like, that would be I mean, just think about what Elden Ring 2 is going to sell when it launches. Like, the first one was at, 12 million in a month? Elden Ring 2, with the amount of buzz, like a lot of that stuff, a lot of that buzz happened beforehand, but it went worldwide the second the game launched, and it got that really high Metacritic score, 97, and it was everywhere on social media. It's everywhere on TikTok still. It's everywhere. And now that stuff's going to carry. It's a massive game, so people are going to be talking about it for forever. It's going to be the kind of game that people go back to. There's going to be a lot of content creators specifically making stuff for Elden Ring. It's basically going to snowball over time, and when you drop into Elden Ring 2, it is going to be like a GTA level. I mean, it was already sort of a Rockstar level success, so being able to duplicate that alone would be impressive, but it would likely grow significantly, especially if it launches later in this generation, like near the end of this generation, when there's 100 million PS5s and like 80 million Xboxes if they're as successful as they want to be. And then you have PC continuing to grow worldwide at that point. It will, and maybe even like a Switch 2 with a really good DLSS could play it. Like, that game will be just massive. I think it's very likely that they start on Elden Ring 2 in some form, even though they will almost certainly be working on other games at the same time, and probably might even release other games first, like that Armored Core game. From Sojak, any updates on Command & Conquer remasters from EA? I think I asked about this recently, and I'm just gonna pull it from memory. I think there was nothing happening, is what I heard, but that could be wrong. I'll check again. I'll ask again, and I'll see what I can come up with. But last I heard, I think there was nothing happening on that front. From Phaleth, Mr. Snacks, what are your opinions on the Santa Monica Studios update to God of War the other day, that it might be delayed again? I'm of the opinion that if they were going to delay it, they would have delayed it yesterday when they were talking about it. To me, coming out and saying, "Hey, happy anniversary from Sony Santa Monica. It's been 4 years since the game came out." Corey Barlog came out on camera and said, "Happy 420" multiple times, which was very fun. But then they said, "We'll have stuff to share soon. It's just not ready yet." People have been heads down working on the game. And to me, that says they're heads down working on the game. They are not working on assets to show yet. And so that's why we don't have anything to show. It doesn't mean that the game won't be right. I think the game likely comes out this year. I think it's very likely that it comes out this year, because now would have been the time to say, "Hey, we might be delaying it, or we are definitely delaying it." And he didn't like really put it in any of those terms. He just sort of said, "We don't have anything to show today on this anniversary, but still, happy anniversary to that game. That was a big deal." So I'm pretty hopeful, especially for fans. I'm my opinions on the game or whatever, but I know people love that game, and I have no problem with that. I think it's a fine game. It's just not for me. But I think the next one almost certainly should come out. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a November release, though. It's probably not going to be September. We'll see. From Big Dork. Sorry, Crafty says, "Will we get Glover 2 now that it's on Steam for 420? I played a little bit of it yesterday. It's Glover. The PlayStation version is the one that would work, which they didn't do any updating to. That's the only one that would work on the Steam Deck, and boy, that version is just real crap. But the N64 version that they spruced up is it's not great either, but it's a little bit better. From from Big Dork. "Hey, Jeff, asked a couple of months back, what's Hairbrained up to? The last update on their main website is from 11 February 2020. Were they not part of a recent acquisition? News.google.com. Hairbrained. I don't, minus schemes. Let's do that. Right. They're involved in the Shadowrun trilogy, right? Is that not? Did I just read? Or is that a different studio? That is Hairbrained Schemes, right? Yes, that is Scheme. Yes. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know. I think this is the same Hairbrained, right? I feel like there's like multiple Hairbrains, but I can't remember. But either way, yeah, the story came out yesterday that they also they did the Mech Tactics game as well. It's the same studio. Okay. Yeah, so just yesterday, yeah, they're purchased by Paradox. They are working on Shadowrun trilogy, turn-based RPGs. Shadowrun Returns. This was just announced, actually, I guess, here, this story is written today. I think this got announced yesterday. Okay. Cool. All right, let's keep going here. From Tokoto, did you hear that I'm in the new AEW video game? Yeah, I heard that somewhere. Weird. Congratulations to you. Will your feelings be hurt if we find out that they end up using audio from another audience instead? Or do you believe you all did a good job? Your feelings will be hurt. Okay. From Sosuke, hey Jeff, remember when you leaked that codename Project Vonnegut? which was what you heard about to be a Shadowrun game from Microsoft. Could this remastered trilogy coming out lead credence to it being real? Excuse me. I think that it lends credence only in that clearly people have begun to figure out the Shadowrun IP sort of debacle. So getting these games is a sign that like progress has been made there. So Vonnegut still being related to Shadowrun still seems like a very viable and possible thing. And it's something that we'll probably hear about again eventually. From Feature Creep, did you look at that 7 Days to Die thing? I did not. I forgot. I've been pretty busy and I haven't looked at anything on that list. But it's still on the list, and I will get back around to like going through that one by one again here pretty soon. From Abs B, hi Jeff. I have an illness that makes me love rhythm games. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Space Channel 5 for life. But what franchise would you like to receive a Persona Dancing All Night or Melody of Memory spin-off style game? Are you sure it's not Memory of Melody? Sorry, my good friend, the star of AEW Wrestling, Mike Minotti, always mixes that up. So it's fun to joke about. I gotta. I'm not losing any frames over here. Are we good? I'm gonna pause. There was no issue, and we will not be recording that for posterity. All right, we're back, and with a new set of questions, because I swear I did not refresh the page either. I am going to get right back into this with Guest, who says, hey, do we know if the Might and Magic franchise is just dead at this point? I don't know if I know that. I don't know that. But who was, yeah, we haven't heard anything about that in a long time. And it seems like the kind of thing that I think like like Ubisoft was making Might and Magic. That's what I thought. Might and Magic was Ubisoft for a long time. Ubisoft had just got distracted by other things that were more profitable for them, right? I think that's what happened. So I guess the 3DO company was working on them for a while. It will probably just have to find a new home is probably what it is. From Theo Hux, I'm not going to ask if you know about Bloodlines 2 like so many others have before, but I would be very interested in your thoughts on why they are so quiet about who is making it. I mean, I think it's probably legal reasons. My guess is that there was bad breakups and trying to navigate that stuff with where people might be willing to sue some others if like anything gets reused in a way that it might be copyrighted and some like there's just going to be legal reasons to want to be quiet about that stuff until you know you're in the clear. So yeah, I mean the Vampire the Masquerade series, the IP right now in games seems like it's in a very odd place, but we'll see more soon, I guess. From Razorblade79, any idea if EA will resurrect any of the 90s IPs they bought and buried anytime soon? From Origin, Bullfrog, Westwood, etc. I mean, define anytime soon. I think that they are pretty much set on the games that they're working on. There are a few IP more recent than that they might be going back to, but trying to like dig up those franchises, that's something that they could get the will to get back to, but what's stopping them right now is they do have stuff like Dead Space, right? So like we're gonna go to Dead Space first and we're gonna see how that does, and if that does super well, maybe we'll apply this same line of thinking to some of these older franchises. But I don't know. That just seems like there's so many things that can go wrong between now and then. I just would be hesitant to get your hopes up. From Black Card Vinyl, do you remember what my question was? Nope. No, I do not. No idea. Completely just gone into the ether. I don't remember what I said 10 seconds ago. So no, I do not. Very good question though. From Lobster Crush, is this the internet? Am I busy? Yes and yes. But you know what? We'll get right into it to help you out with that. From Wacky Deli, which is a good name, and I think I'm just going to assume that's a picture of Randy Pitchford. Hello, Papa Grubb. Is there any chance in the Valley of the Gods ever actually comes out? No, but I'm hopeful still. I still have my hopes up for some stupid reason. But like everyone told me in chat last week, no, that game is dead as hell. But I'm still choosing to believe. From Matty Hawks, hey, Mr. Beef, hope everything's going well. What are the things Xbox looks for when choosing to sign a game for Game Pass? Can any indie dev walk up and say, Game Pass, please? No, no, you can't just do that. It is pretty tough to build up that relationship to get a chance to be in Game Pass as an indie dev. If you have a really impressive game, like, yeah, you'll probably have a pretty decent chance. If you have a game that is of any size and scale, you'll also have a pretty big chance. If you have a game that is online multiplayer cooperative first, you have a pretty decent chance of making that happen. But I know a lot of indie devs who are like, hey, I've had a game that's been pretty successful on Steam and it's on Xbox, and we would love to be on Game Pass. Can we make that happen? And right now, it just seems like the door is kind of a little bit wedged closed for that level of indie dev. And that's what people are worried about with Game Pass. Like, if Game Pass becomes the only way people consume games, and Microsoft is this gatekeeper, that could keep a lot of indie devs out of the one way to have success. Now, my counter to that is I do not believe that is how it's going to happen. We've very rarely had a situation where a new business model came along in games, and then the old business model just evaporated. It becomes a new business model that stands alongside the old ones. So people could be subscribing to Microsoft's games on PC right now. And what do? They buy them on Steam because that's what they like doing. And new people might come along and start subscribing to these things. But the people that have always bought their games, for the most part, seem like they are happy to continue buying their games in many situations. So I think it's very unlikely we get to a future where Game Pass is the one and only way to succeed in the game industry. From Looter Jennings, why is Tony Khan trying to stop you? Are you a WWE bot? I mean, I'm just saying, if they're not even going to record Fight Forever for their game called Fight Forever, they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, that company's in the garbage already, AEW. Anyway, I'm going to go hang out with my best friend, Vince McMahon, after this. For PJ24, hey, Mr. Jeff, what does happen when Bacalar goes beyond tipsy? You don't want to know. Listen, the guy's he's very jolly. He's jolly drunk, all that stuff. But when he goes beyond he is beyond tipsy. Where is he at? Right, he's ripped right now. Ripped is fine. We just don't want to know what happens when he goes beyond bombed. Bombed is the level. It's the last level. There are levels beyond that, but we do not put it on the meter for fear of enticing him, of saying, hey, you could go to this level. We don't want him to know that he can go to those levels. Scary stuff. Super Saiyan. Keep going. From Uzi. Send in your questions right now. And then the thing, is that what happened? I said send in your questions right now, and then it just died. And then you had a F for respects there. From Sosuke, hey Jeff, with the Shadowrun trilogy. Oh yeah, this thing I talked about. They are yeah. The sign there is probably that the IP has been figured out. So Microsoft is probably right there being like, okay, well, if the IP holders know what's what with Shadowrun, we can make this new one happen. We'll see though. From Azure Gale, Digimon Survive is coming out on the same day as Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Which one should I get first? As someone who has deep opinions about both of these things, I'm going to say, let's see if I have a coin here. I'm going to flip Mario's hat. All right, here we go. Hat up, it's Digimon. Hat down, or whatever, upside down. It's going to be Xenoblade. You are getting Digimon Survive. Congratulations. I'm not getting it for you. Let's be clear here. You have to buy it yourself, but that's the one you're buying. From Mayan, if you had to attribute the success of Elden Ring to one thing, a la the New York Times article, what would you put it down to? Memes. If I had to put it down to one thing, I'd put it down to memes. Memes don't ever really sell games. It's not really what happened here. But if you forced me to put it, like, the memes like encompass sort of the all the other things, or they, like, all the other things touch on the memes in some way, where everyone is very excited about these games, From Software has this cult following that has grown into a massive, beyond a cult following at this point, and they can't stop making jokes, and they all have their own language, and all that stuff is represented in the jokes that they create for their subreddits and stuff like that. So, yeah, memes and meeps. That's right. Lots of crabs in that game. From the Unseen Shadow, what is going on with the new Pokemon games announced coming later this year? Did Game Freak substantially staff up to increase their recent and future output so much? I mean, they're definitely staffing up a little bit, but I think that the Arceus game was always meant to be a side project. They if you look at their output, they do put out quite a few Pokemon games each year, just not mainline Pokemon games. And the thing with Arceus is it looks and behaves like a mainline Pokemon game. So we're like, how are they doing all this at once? The reality is they probably just had their teams that had previously been working on other spinoffs work on that. And it turned out like, oh, this is like a completely viable alternative that can be this other way of approaching mainline Pokemon games going forward. I don't think they ever expected to be quite as big as it is, although they clearly also at the end there tried to, I think they maybe realized that right before launching it, like, okay, well, we maybe should position it as a possible alternative to what we're going to do going forward. Although we are going to keep doing what we have been doing because we can't help ourselves. We are the Pokemon company. From Absby, hi Jeff, I have an illness that makes me love rhythm games, Space Channel 5, and Guitar Room Man for life. However, what franchises would you like to receive a Persona Dancing All Night / Melody of Memory style spinoff game? I believe this is the one I was going to answer before everything went bad. So, okay. What franchise would be good? I mean, I kind of was hoping for more like dancing stuff in like the Fire Emblem, like the FE / or Sharp FE game that had the Persona stuff in it. I can never remember the name of it. That would have been good. Yes, and Ys. Give me an Ys musical. I don't know. I would say Mario, but we did get Mario DDR, right? There was a DDR game with all Mario music. I don't know. I'll take a second one of those. Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Thank you. I appreciate it. I opened up the Ys Nuts floodgates with the first question. There it is. From the twins, from twins. Did that get the blood pumping? When everything went bad? Of course it did. Yes. You got to stay cool under pressure. You have to. Doesn't mean I do, but you were supposed to at least. From Sevward, I have insider information that when you move, Backar is going to change the locks on GBHQ to keep you out. What's your Oceans of Level style plan to break back in? Yeah, I'll assemble a crew. I'll get, there will be an old man who's very good at impressions. There'll be a little fella who could fit in a box. We will, I don't know. We'll probably all just dress up as like fast food characters, and then Dan Riker will accidentally let us in. He'll be like, oh, KFC is here. That's nice. I like KFC. I'll have some chicken, please. Yeah, come on in. And then we'll just be inside. That's my Dan Riker voice. I'm Dan Riker. Hello. From Uzi. What's the deal with those weird Sonic DLC tiers and how long until it gets a physical release? So I looked at, listen, the chart is bad, but it looks like, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I stopped looking at it pretty quickly because I'm like, this is giving me a headache. This sucks. But if you pre-order the digital deluxe edition, you do in fact get everything, right? So if you care about this, just do that. And if you are just looking at it to be mad, which is fair because it's infuriating, just be like, whatever, and then move on with your life. It's still Sonic. Okay. The chart. Yeah, I think Zombie Pie says that yes, you do. Okay, all right. See, from Rev408, hey, Mr. Grubb, any new info on DokeV? Will it be free to play? Release date? No, I have no idea. That's like from a whole other realm of the video game industry. It does seem like it'll be a free to play game, but I have no idea. That's the weird baby Pokemon game, right? Not that they're baby Pokemon, but like you play as a giant baby who is collecting and like actually like fighting Pokemon and stuff, and then there's all kinds of other stuff. Yeah, whatever. That sounds right. From Domcats. Will Sega put out a Sonic 3D collection that has Adventure 1 and 2, Heroes, 06, and call it Sonic the Bad Years? To do that, they'd also need Sonic 3D Blast and Sonic Jam. Sonic Jam is actually not that bad, right? But yes, yeah, that's exactly what they'll do and what they'll call it. And got to include Shadow. Yeah, absolutely. From Mock Bucket 62, what do you think will be the big Nintendo release in September now that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was pushed up to July? I'm not sure exactly, but because I think Metroid Prime comes in November, so that still leaves September. I hope it's Advance Wars. I hope it's like, let's just put out Advance Wars in September now. But it doesn't feel like big enough. It doesn't feel that feels like a December game actually. So I'm not sure. We'll have to keep our eyes open. We will get a direct from Nintendo here in the next few months, and we'll get probably quite a few surprises at that point. So hopefully it's one of those. Let me see. Let me check and see how I'm doing on time. Okay, we're doing pretty good. Do you have any little birds at Maxis? Zcritz asks. Any idea if they're working on anything big? I've not heard anything out of Maxis, so I'm not sure. Is it still Maxis? Like Maxis Prime is still making the Sims, or is there just like a separate the Sims team now, and Maxis is doing something else? Because if it's all one thing still, they're probably working on Sims 5, Sims 6, whatever it is. Yeah. I don't think Treasure still exists. Sorry, I just saw this one from Captain Hav. Does Treasure still exist? Will we ever get Gunstar Heroes 2? I'm pretty sure Treasure is now defunct. And has been for some time, I think. I don't know. Let me check. I mean, no, there's still a president there. I guess they're still going. I don't know how often they're making video games these days, though. Their most recent release being Geist Crusher God, which I should play, came out in 2014. So we have not had a game from them in almost a decade. We'll see. I keep saying we'll see, but I mean, it's true. It's true. You can't deny that we will see. All right. Yeah, from Bad at Games, is Vampire Survivors a perfect $3 video game? I think it's a perfect game. I think it's perfect at however it is. $3 just makes it even more perfect. I love that game. I play it all the time on my Steam Deck. It's so good. I try not to like have it like completely overtake everything. I could easily be like, I'm just not going to play anything new because I'm going back to Vampire Survivors again. From Big Steve 33, do you know anything about how Valve is doing on fulfilling Steam Deck orders? Mine is still showing Q2, but I know Jan got bumped to Q3. I think they're doing pretty good. I think they're doing a little bit better than they might have been expecting, but there's still going to be some issues. They said they're ramping up. I think their goal is to get all of these pre-orders serviced as quickly as possible. Get it to a point where they can mostly keep up as people are ordering on Steam, so that this holiday they can have them in stores. That would be a huge win for them. I think that's very unlikely. That seems like they're probably not going to be able to pull that off. They might get close, and that would be good news for everybody who is ordering one directly from Steam. From Esteban8612, hey Jeff, any news on a remaster of Onimusha 2? The first one was released on PS4 back in 2019. That sounds like something that should probably happen. It's part of like Capcom's push to like make sure all its games stay relevant and come back. Might depend on how Onimusha 1 did on PS4 in 2019. But at the same time, it's like the kind of thing where you're like, yeah, maybe we should just keep going through those. We have teams who are dedicated to doing these remasters. We have teams dedicated to doing big remakes. That once we get through all these other games, Onimusha 2 is up next. Yeah, I think they will get around to it, but I haven't, no news on that, no. Okay, here's Javiso. Thank you, Javiso. Maxis is currently planning to announce their next game this summer to begin staffing. Person I spoke to about it was Koi, so I don't know if it's Sims 5 or a second team for a new thing. That makes sense. They are part of that, like what everyone else is doing. They need to staff up to really start working in earnest on their next game. So they will probably do that, one of those announcements here pretty soon. Thank you, Javiso. Appreciate it. And Javiso is someone I know we could trust, everybody. So that's nice to hear that. Let's see. Binjo T. With the Microsoft acquisition of Blizzard, do you think there's a chance of Diablo 2 expansions in the future, similar to how they have done expansions for the older Age of Empires games? Sorry to repeat, think I added the wrong account. Do you think there's a chance of Diablo 2 expansion in the future, similar to how they've done expansions for the older? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a chance, but they do still have Diablo 4 coming, and they will want the focus to be on Diablo 4. But if something goes wrong with that, then yeah, maybe they retreat back to Diablo 2. That Diablo 2 remaster seemed to do pretty good. It was much better than that Warcraft remaster. So I think the hope would be like, yeah, like that is a viable thing that you could always return to and do more with if you need to. But I don't know if that's like their first or even like a second choice. From Donnie Durka, I'm headed to Vegas in 3 hours. Where should I eat? Let me see if I can remember the name of it. There's a Thai restaurant, Las Vegas. Thai, what is it? White Lotus of Siam? Lotus of Siam? Is that it? Lotus of Siam. Something like that. It's not like on the strip or anything, but it's really good. Lotus of Siam. Yes, I think Will Smith and like his crew would go there every time they'd go to Las Vegas. And then I heard him talk about it on a podcast. And then when I was in Vegas, I went there and it was very delicious. And then go to Arby's. Go get my, if I have my hat, hang on. Oh, why? Oh no. He might have, just stay away. I'll come and fix it. Okay. Just hang on. Okay, so go to Arby's is what I was meaning to say. Sorry for people listening to a podcast version. I put on an Arby's hat. All right. Let's keep going. From Hired Noobs, is GrubbSnax a work or a shoot? It's a work shoot. From Big Steve 33, when you move to Cleveland, will you be changing your theme music to Cleveland Rocks, specifically the Drew Carey version where he shouts out Ohio? That would be sweet. We'll look into it. I'll talk to Drew. Of course, everyone in Ohio hangs out with each other, so I'll talk to Drew at that point. From Sandwich Jones, any chance they try another Plants vs. Zombies class-based shooter? Their last one only lasted a year, but I feel like if they launched a free-to-play version, things could work out. I don't know. Plants vs. Zombies was massive in China. I don't know if that's still the case. But it kind of like, I feel like their chance to like make that work passed because you put out this version. I mean, maybe they have a free-to-play version of that in China that I'm just not aware of. But you probably should have made that Battle of Neighborville or whatever it was free-to-play and made it a big deal in China at that point. But now it seems a bit late. So I don't know. I'm like interested in like everything that's happening with PopCap and all of PopCap's brands. I keep meaning to look into it. I keep forgetting. But Plants vs. Zombies probably is on hiatus for now, at least in terms of its class-based shooters. From Higher Noobs, do you think we'll see a game based on the Twins films franchise? They're making a new one, right? And the triplets and who's the third one? Because I think they're bringing back Arnold and and Danny DeVito. And then the third one is it a black woman? I think they got something like that. I don't know. It is black guy. Okay, Eddie Murphy. Yes, that's perfect. That's such a perfect idea for that sequel. I cannot wait. From Jaws for real, I think. Will we see Ragnarok this year, or will we have to settle for the Northman and Love and Thunder for our Norse goodness? I think we do see. I think we do get God of War Ragnarok this year. I said that when we opened the show. It just seems like if they were going to delay it, they would have done so already. From Tokoto, how dare you disparage Sonic 3D Blast? Mike yells at me for like, oh, you were a Nintendo fanboy back then, so that's why you just hate all these games. And now I'm like, Mike, you're a Sonic fanboy or a Sega fanboy, because there is no redeeming Sonic 3D Blast. It is just a unfun game. It's like, it looked great in magazine screenshots, and that's all it was good for. That's all it was good for. From T Dot, he says, "Wow." From T Dot, do you think Microsoft would decouple Blizzard from Activision? Yeah, from Activision. I think that there's maybe a chance that happens down the line. I think the idea is like Blizzard already has its own manager, and that manager is going to continue in the transition to Microsoft. I think it's going to sort of be a decoupling in spirit. Like Blizzard will kind of just be its own brand. I wouldn't be surprised if so we talked about this, like Game Pass. You know, they get Game Pass and they have Game Pass and they have all these Microsoft games, but then they acquire Bethesda and they keep Bethesda as its own brand because you want to look like you have a lot of different big brands in your subscription service in the same way Disney Plus has all its stuff. It's a good method. It works really well. I think they will have Activision, and Blizzard will obviously be a separate column in Game Pass from Activision. And I think the way that they make their games and treat their games going forward will also be pretty separate. They will be able to make their own choices in a way that they haven't been for the last several years. Captain asked about Treasure. They haven't made a game in a long time, but it does not say that they've closed or anything. They might just be like a licensing house or something at this point. I have no idea. Ybarra, yes, Ybarra. Mike Ybarra is in charge of Blizzard. Thank you. From Crooked View, any news on a new Wolfenstein game? I have an urge to dispose of a Mecha Hitler. You and me both, man. I am absolutely still. I'm just gonna have to go back and play the Wolfenstein games again because I've been having that same craving. There is no news on it. When I've asked about it, it's like no one really knows, and to me that means that it's probably not being actively worked on. I hope that's wrong. I continue to hope that's wrong. But it does sound like they put it to the side to work on Indiana Jones and to work on the Quake series in some capacity. Now, we already saw that they worked on Machine Games, worked on the Quake game that came out recently, the Quake 1 update, and they released their own campaign for that. The speculation, and this is informed speculation, was that they were doing that as a way to work up to taking over the Quake franchise at some point in the future and making a new Quake game from ground up. I hope that does not mean they will never release a Wolfenstein 3. That to me, that would be devastating and sad. They need to finish that story. From Cap and Have, I just found out Shatter, PS3 Classic the PS3 Classic Breakout clone, is free on iOS with a Netflix sub. Any thoughts on the future of Netflix providing free games on other consoles? That is weird. I don't. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna that they see gaming as one possible way forward. I mean, we talked about this when Netflix first started getting into games, but they look at their data. They know how many people that use Netflix are using them on consoles that are big, expensive pieces of machinery that they already own, and that means these people are likely gamers, and they see the telemetry of people watching Witcher and then going to play games, and they went in on that action. I don't know how realistic it is to pull that off. And yeah, they might be able to provide some free games as a subscription service on these consoles, but that would be something that they would have to like renegotiate their terms, and they wouldn't want to do that to the detriment of like their film stuff. So it's going to be tricky to navigate, but I'm not going to say never. From Alvaro Faruja, or from Alvaro F. Araruja. What is Sid Meier's studio working on these days? I don't know. They are probably, I mean, what is Sid Meier's like still in charge of that studio? I know his name still goes on many of those games. But I got the impression that he was mostly retired. But like, Firaxis still makes XCOM, and they still make Civilization games. So probably still more of those. From Big Steve, I'm living in Columbus and Cleveland. Long story. Okay, wow. Being as all Ohioans know each other, what should I get you as a welcome gift? I'm thinking a pie or a nice casserole. Yeah, just some like hamburger helper. That'd be nice. Or show me where the Skyline chili is, and we'll get some Skyline. I lived in Columbus before here, so yeah, howdy. Sandwich Jones, why is Sonic R not on that collection? I want to feel the sunshine and let it brighten up my day. Sonic R is a game that I think I actually like more than it deserves. It's actually pretty, it's not good, but it's fun. I actually do like Sonic R somewhat. Looter Jennings, Mr. Grubb, do you think Raven, title character from hit Disney show That's So Raven, could have prevented 9/11. She had visions of the future. What if she saw something? I'm just gonna say yes. From Sevward, hot dish or casserole? Casserole. I am unfamiliar with the term hot dish until very recently because of the guys playing the RiffTrax game with the RiffTrax crew, and then I was like, oh well, yeah, hot dish. I guess I have heard that term, but it never registered in my brain because we would just call it a casserole where I'm from. I got to play RiffTrax with that crew, and I won. So I want to make sure everyone knows that I won. I turned on this, and in the Giant Bomb video, Kevin Murphy is about to tell the story about how I switched the language to Spanish. I almost just said Mexican. I switched the language to Spanish, and I did the lyrics to Macarena, and he got interrupted. And he get to tell the story of how I won the game with the best joke ever that I've definitely done twice already. Once in What the Dub, and now in this. So it works every time, though. I won both times. So yeah, I don't know. Watch that video though, the Giant Bomb one with the RiffTrax, because it's very good. I really enjoyed that. All right, everybody, let's wrap up. If a couple more questions come in. Why are fanboys a thing? Can we ban them from everything? People have in groups and out groups, and have since the beginning of time. And whenever you feel like you're part of something, or your brain wants you to feel like you're a part of something, it is much more comfortable that way. And our brain cannot distinguish between the things that are healthy for us to be a part of and the things that make it unhealthy. Like, it just knows that being a part of something, it will keep you alive. And it does not know that being a part of a bunch of fanboys for a console will only make you look like a complete turd and shithead, and no one will ever want to associate with you. It doesn't realize that. So it's just this base animalistic brain trying to find some in-group so that you could be protected from the out-group. Yeah, we can't help ourselves. All right, everybody. When are we getting the Tipsy Dr. Hockey emote? I can provide the files if needed. So someone just let me know. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Nylox in chat says they're an Intellivision Amico fanboy, and who isn't really? And it's not fanboy. That's just being a smart person, because that's going to be the next big thing. You're just getting in on that train early. I'll be back with another episode next week, everybody. It's been slow in the news recently, so it was nice to have a little bit something happen with the skate. I do think things should start to pick up here pretty soon, but I'm wondering if the reason things are slowing down a little bit. I mean, Easter obviously happened, and people were kind of taking their spring breaks, so yeah. Things should start to pick up soon, but I wonder if things will really start to pick up soon because people are actually planning events and having discussions with Jeff Keighley, and we will get some big stuff for the Game Mess soon. Maybe next week, if we don't get a bunch of news to talk about, I'll try to bring in an update on the Game Mess and where we stand, and see if I can get word from people about where that stuff stands in terms of, okay, E3's not happening, who is going to be in Jeff Keighley's thing, or who's planning on doing their own thing, or who isn't sure where they're going, who's going to wait till the last minute and try to pull off a summer Game Fest thing at the end of August or something like that. So yeah, we'll come in, we'll talk about that stuff if nothing else big happens, and if it does, then we'll just push that to the next week. All right, everybody, it's been fun. I'll be back next week. Until then, have a good one. Take care of yourself. Eat at Arby's, and goodbye. Wrong button.